Tula Hayes has highly individual taste. Sadly, she never learnt basic design rules, so she ended up with a scary vampire hallway and a vivid green kitchen complete with Phil the lizard. With her American fiancé Robbie and 5 children, the house is full of victims of Tula's lurid decorations. As if Tula's design mistakes weren't bad enough, they also mean her house is seriously undervalued compared to others in her North London street. To make the house more appealing, I've banished the gloomy green and yellow from the hall. I admire Tula's creativity, but the dark green ate up the light in here, making the hall seem cramped and oppressive.
Tula, just have a look down there, because now it's just white. You can really understand what's happening spatially.
Oh my goodness, looks huge.
It does, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
That's actually a really good tip for people. If you can't quite get your head around a space, just paint it all white. Don't leave it like that, because that's really boring. But then you can really sort of understand where the light's coming from, where there isn't any light, how you really use the space.
Tula's brighter hallway will help make her home more appealing and more valuable. The best ways to maximise the price of your property: add a lick of paint all over. This is the cheapest way of making a big impression. Install an ensuite off the master bedroom. Everybody loves having their own private bathroom. Modernise the kitchen. This is the most used room in the house, and if you get this right, it's worth every penny. But the #1 way to add value to a home is to create extra rooms. Building an extension or converting the loft is always a wise investment. Tula's hall leads into her kitchen dining room. This is where spending a little money can add most value to a property, but only if it's done right. Tula's kinky kitchen cabinets actually devalue her house.
These cabinet doors have to go. I hardly think the estate agent is going to detail S&M kitchen as something positive. I've got a screwdriver here, Robbie.
I get to do the honours.
You do get to do the honours. I'd like you to whip that off.
I've also got a trick up my sleeve to double the storage space. To make the new kitchen more user-friendly, I'm installing extra lighting over the worktops. I've also got big plans for the light in the hall.
You know, you were talking about your hallway and how you wanted to create a romantic atmosphere in there. I was wondering how romantic this is.
Well, it isn't.
But you know, if there's one design rule, if you want to create atmosphere, especially romantic atmosphere, get the lighting right.
Lighting is too often ignored, but it can really make or break the look in a room. While Tula is busy undoing some of her worst design excesses, I'm going to show Robbie how to choose the perfect light fitting for the hall.
They're pretty spectacular, aren't they?
Yes, very sophisticated. Shall I say
When
glam?
shopping for lighting, it's vital to know exactly what will and what won't work in each room.
Wow, there's too many nice ones.
That's right, there is kind of too much choice. But that's why you've got to remember the space that you're putting it in, because that helps actually.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, okay, it's a small space, we can't introduce any more
It's
colours.
small, but it's high too.
Exactly. So you don't want to be introducing too many more things, really. So you don't want any more colour, I don't think. I don't think you want a chandelier that features more than one material, really. How are you getting on, Robbie?
Kind of like that one, a little bit romantic.
It's romantic, exactly. And it's dramatic, and it's the perfect scale because it's quite long, but quite narrow. And it's a single material. I mean, obviously you've got the metal bracing inside, but it's just glass. I have to say, I think you've made the perfect choice.
Well, both of us can't be wrong.
Taking time over decisions is always worthwhile. However, Tula chose her lurid green on a whim. And it shows.
This is actually where you've made the biggest mistake, when you've been designing your kitchen, you actually haven't been designing it, you've just been decorating it. I mean, certainly in a kitchen, this is where the value of your property is concentrated. So if a buyer is to come in, a coat of paint is easy to change, but bad design is an expensive mistake. So what we need to do is give you good design, which will add value to your property.
A good design tip here is that I'm using a neutral tone to help tie the room together. The grey goes with the new floor and the stain we're putting on the wood, which follows right through into the garden. Tula wanted her cabinets to have a metallic look, but went over the top with chains and silver paint. I'm giving them mesh fronts, which is a more subtle way of achieving the look Tula wanted. Tula's old green and yellow hall showed her love of bold colour. I'm keeping a sense of this with a strong red, but I'm putting this on just one wall. With paler colours elsewhere and improved lighting, it will all be much brighter. And Phil is going into his new home under the stairs. We've made a table extension using inexpensive scaffolding planks painted grey. And I'm keeping a sense of Tula's own personal style by hanging her mementos on the new timber.